Hi everybody, it's Nikki here from Dutiful Dogs. I hope you're having a great week. This week I want to talk about tools, training, and practice. Tools don't train dogs, training trains dogs. We hear that a lot, don't we? I say it myself often, and it's true. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't use tools or that you should allow yourself to be made to feel guilty for using tools. We use tools to help us in every situation, every job, every day. For example, you're qualified to drive a manual or stick shift, but you choose to drive an automatic because it makes your life easier. Therefore, you're making use of a tool, the automatic gearbox, designed expressly for that purpose. It doesn't make you any less of a driver. It's your money, your life, and your choice. Plus, some people are simply not physically able to drive manual cars. Vacuum cleaners, dishwashers, washing machines, food processors, remote controls, sat-nav devices, automatic tire inflators. These are all tools that assist us in our everyday lives. Can we wash our dishes or our clothes by hand? Of course we can. But why would we? Why would we make our lives harder? Life is short. Using tools that help make our short lives and those of our dogs easier and more enjoyable is not wrong when those tools are used correctly, responsibly, and appropriately. So now let's talk about training, because tools do not excuse you from training your dog. Training your dog is not an option, it's an obligation. You've chosen to bring a living being from another species into your world. Dogs don't come to us knowing human rules, human etiquette, or most importantly, human language. How many times have you seen some frustrated soul ineffectually tugging their pulling, lunging, overexcited dog around on the end of its leash, which is invariably, ironically, attached to a no-pull harness? Your dog doesn't understand how it's supposed to behave on a leash unless you teach it. Your dog doesn't understand how it's supposed to behave in any situation unless you teach it. And if you don't know how to teach your dog, and why should you hire a reputable, balanced trainer. A good trainer will not only be the teacher, but the translator between you and your dog until the two of you can communicate effectively, directly with one another. And the way that you do that is to practice and to form new habits. Walking on leash is one of the most common issues I'm asked to help deal with. The only way your dog will learn to walk nicely on leash is, as I've said, if you teach them. Not by sticking one of those aforementioned harnesses on them and hoping for the best. Practice the exercises your trainer has taught you. Just as we teach a green horse what a bit is for, so we teach the dog what leash pressure means. Do the leash pressure exercises. Do the follow me, yield to me exercises. Do the sudden direction changes when walking. And most of all, do reward your dog every single time they're walking nicely to heel, even if that's every 3 to 4 paces initially. Heel is a position, not a behaviour. Gradually, you'll be able to phase out the rewards and use praise alone for a good heel position. The videos on my business page of Katana walking to heel off leash show what can be achieved with just a little consistent effort. It's really basic stuff. Katana was taught to heel with nothing more than a leather training leash, a flat buckle collar, a handful of treats, and lots of praise. So now let's talk about practice. Just like school homework, it's the bugbear of trainers everywhere. I've been working with a trainer, but my dog still gets overexcited and barks and whines, and he's still jumping up at people. It's weird. He doesn't do it to the trainer. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know how many times I've personally had this particular conversation, but if your dog is still displaying unwanted behaviours, it is because in some way you are still reinforcing those behaviours, especially if the dog doesn't do it with the trainer. If you engage with your dog when he's whining, pawing at you, or God forbid, jumping on you, he has trained you. If there are toys scattered all over the floor and food freely available 24/7, what motivation does he have to listen to anything you tell him or engage with you except on his terms? He's not having to earn anything. And since he will generalize this behavior, you'll no doubt have some explaining to do when he jumps up on the stranger who stops to give him attention on the street. If your dog is still doing things you don't want them to do even after you've supposedly trained them, and don't forget that training is a constant ongoing process, the dog is not the problem, you are. Either you don't care that your dog is misbehaving, or you do, but are failing or refusing to make the changes necessary to stop that behavior. Everything begins at home. How you live with your dog and the rules and boundaries you put in place at home extend in every respect to the wider world. As your trainer, I train you to train your dog. I can teach you to understand your dog's body language and what he's communicating to you, and I can teach you how to speak dog. I teach you how to live differently with your dog and how to form better habits with them that will carry over into every situation. But, and here's the but, none of what I teach you matters in the slightest unless you follow through with it consistently. Fixing and changing a dog's behaviors and the way you live with your dog is not like fixing a leaky tap or a broken washing machine. I can stop the jumping, the biting, the pulling on leash. But as I've said before, a dog is a living, breathing creature with a brain, a personality, and a mind of its own. As a trainer, I can tell the moment I walk through a client's door if they have implemented and been consistent with the changes I've advised them to make. The dog's behavior and demeanor shows me. The dog cannot lie. If you stand there and tell me, but we've done everything you told us to, and the dog still nips, bites, jumps, whines, delete as applicable, I can 100% guarantee that unless you misunderstood or misheard me several times over, because I repeat myself a lot for emphasis, you've not done everything we discussed. Don't get me wrong, I actually have no problem with that. It's your money, it's your dog, and it's your choice. So, I'm making a polite request. If you want the dog you tell your trainer you want before you commence lessons with them, you have to put in the work. And you only have to put a little in to get a lot back. And then you'll find that it isn't the chore that you feared it might be, and your dog will thank you for it. Have a great week, folks.